Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the Bina-View build. I really did not plan on getting the second part out this soon because again, as I said before, this is kind of a side project or back burner project because I got a lot of other stuff I'm working on. However, I got a lot done on this and I just wanted to show where I was because I had to order some parts and it's going to be a while before those parts get in. And if you take a look at the real one, you see we have several slides with the digits. But back here we have solenoids, and you can only see 3, but there's supposed to be 6. And I ordered 6 solenoids. It's going to be another, I don't know, probably another month before they come in. So I didn't want that to hold up the build. So I decided to print some dummy solenoids. And basically, I printed up these parts. So the solenoids I got online, they gave the dimensions of it, and I just made up some dummy solenoids to take their place. So we'll just start by gluing the piston or the actuator together. I'm using a solvent, so these are solvent bonded. And just clean up this face a little bit. Then that can go together like that. And if you hold it loosely, put some solvent in the seam. Same over here. And then squeeze it. Just make sure that the solvent didn't go all the way through. Make sure that still moves. So these are my dummy solenoids. And again, there are 6 of them. And so I can use these to kind of help figure out how I want this laid out. So I'll have 6 of them, or 3 of them about like that. And the other 3 probably something like that. And they kind of have to be offset toggled because there's going to be rods going through here. And I made one of them, and it's just a brass rod with a brass strip on the top. And this is going to be those little rocker pieces like there. And those, we'll just get one together here real quick. I just 3D printed a little carrier block. So that'll go on like so. And then we'll have another one. And then that will set in here something like that. Of course, it'll be pointed up. And it'll have a little rod or an arm that will go down and connect to that solenoid. So when that solenoid activates, it rotates that plate back and forth. So as that solenoid activates, it just tilts that back and forth this way. And as you can see, that will be either like that or like that, one way or the other. And again, there'll be 6 of those total. That is what's going to select which one of those slides will drop down. Remember, the one slide that is allowed to drop down is the digit that you'll see. So I've got to make more of those, but I have to order more material. And it's just a 3mm rod and a little brass strip on it. The solder joint here, I'm fairly proud of. The other side, not so much. I mean, it'll work, but I just got to figure out a better way to solder that so both sides look like that. So I got to make 5 more of those, figure out the little arm. I don't want to make that yet because I don't know exactly how the real solenoids will attach to the end. So I got to wait till I get those solenoids before I can do that. But this will allow me to kind of get an idea of what kind of size I need back here. All right, now, so that's kind of the selection section. Let's take a look at the slides. Get these out of the way. Now remember, the slides themselves are based off of a single mask. And again, imagine this just printed on a transparency. And there will be two of these, but one of them, the front one, will always be at the same level. The other one that will be right behind it, if you drop it down one square, then each black square will cover the white square below it, and then it will be completely blank. And then behind that, we'll have the number 1, then the number 2, then the number 3, and so forth and so on. Now to hold these, I printed these, and so notice there's a recess in here. And so all I have to do is cut that out of the transparency when I get this printed. I don't know if I can do those at work or not. I don't know if I have that transparency stuff. I don't know. My plan is to go to Staples or someplace like Staples with all of these once I get them designed, 0 through 9 and A through Z and a couple of other characters, and take all of those and then have those print them on the transparency, and then I can cut those out and bond them into here. Don't know when I'm going to be able to get to Staples. I haven't even been to work, with the stay-at-home thing going on now. I haven't even been to work in several weeks, and let alone go to Staples. So that part's going to have to wait, which is fine because it's going to take some time to design all of the other ones. And I'm not sure I like the number 1. I may redo the number 1. But anyways, point is, all of those will be cut out. There will be 40 of them. And they will go into the recess and get bonded in place. And I labeled each one what it is. This one is the front mask. And I have one for number 1, and I have one for number 2, and number 3, and that's all I've printed so far. Notice the 2 and the 3 in the mask, the numbers are recessed in. Number 1 was the first one I did. It's actually sticking up, and I decided to recess them in because I didn't want that to rub on the plate in front of it. So I may redo this one and sink it down so it matches the rest. And then you can see the keyways along the bottom. And so number 1, I want this to drop down when it's on binary word number 1. So binary word, or binary number 1, this one will be to the left. That would be a 0. That would be a 0. That would be a 0. 0, 0, and then this one would be flipped over the other way. And in those positions, when all 6 are in those positions, this slide will be able to drop down. Any other combination, like if this one went high, then it would hold that up. And here's number 2. So again, this one is high, would allow that to drop down, whereas this one would have to then be low to allow it to drop down. And then number 3, binary for number 3 is this one would have to be high, and this one would have to be high, and all of the others would have to be low to allow this one to drop down. So I still have to make, 36 more of these for all of the other digits. And those are basically just keying into this piece, and those are my 6 binary digits. I really hope this makes sense. Now, to hold all of these, I have to go into a framework, something that will hold them all together. And let me show you what I've got for there. So I made this frame, and on the bottom I have a rail with some holes for some mounting screws. Same on the other side, so that can then be mounted to the base or whatever it's going to sit on. And then these frames, the mask one will be the first one to go in. Now on the mask one, notice the keys are all the same height, so it doesn't matter where the rockers are. This will always be held at the correct position, which will be up. This one cannot drop down. Now the one that's going to go right behind that, which would be called the darkening one or the blanking one or whatever you want to call it, I'll just have one of the keys to allow it to drop down when I put the binary word in where I want it to go dark. So this one goes in, and then the other one for the dark one, which I don't have printed yet, will go right behind it. Then I'll have number 1. Come on. It's a little finicky getting them in to begin with, but once they're in, they pretty much just drop down. And then number 2, and number 3, like, come on, like that. So there's 4 of the 40 in so far. And on the bottom, on the very bottom, you'll notice they can't go all the way through because it's covered up on the bottom. That keeps them from falling out all the way. And of course, again, this piece will be sitting in here like so, keeping one of them up. So that's all I've got done so far. Now, one thing that could kill this whole project is I'm going to have 40 plates in here, and all of the digits and slides are going to be printed on a transparency, and you can see through one of them perfectly fine, but I don't know about 40. That's a lot of plastic for the light to shine through. I'm assuming if the light's bright enough, it should work fine. But if I get 40 slides in here and I can't get a bright enough light to shine through 40 transparencies, then I'm pretty much screwed. But like I said, I am assuming that I can get a bright enough light to shine through 40 layers of transparencies. If not, I might just have to take the letters out and just do numbers only. I don't know. We'll just have to see when it happens. That's my main concern right now at the moment. Now, the other thing I need to start thinking about is the lifting mechanism. Because again, the first thing is all of these slides have to lift up just a little bit, not much, only a couple of centimeters, or yeah, a couple of millimeters, and then lift up and then drop down. One other thing I haven't done yet is the springs. I'll make a piece that goes along the top. There'll be a rail that goes along the top with a piece of spring wire. Not this, that's way too thick. But a piece of spring wire resting on top of all of those. And that's going to push them all down. So each one of them will have a spring on each side. The actual one here, the springs alternate one side to the other just because that's so skinny. But mine's thick enough I can put a spring on each side and have plenty of spring force pushing them down. So to lift it up, I need something on the bottom that will raise all of them up a couple of millimeters and then allow them to drop down. And I have a few ideas on how to do that, but I don't have anything that are made yet. Those are just ideas. So I'm going to leave this video done here just because, again, I wanted to show you approximately where I was. And real quick here, just to set this up real quick, I'm probably not going to use this one because once the arm is here, I wouldn't be able to remove that. So I got to figure out something different here. For now, it's just there to hold it. The lifting solenoid, which is going to have to be pretty strong. These little tiny solenoids, I mean, these things are small, but they don't have to move a lot of weight. All they have to do is rotate this back and forth. That should be easy. So a small solenoid for there is fine. The lifting solenoid is going to have to lift up the whole deck. So that's going to have to be a fairly hefty solenoid running underneath all of this to raise up and down from the bottom. Of course, this is just going to sit down on top of all of that, like that. So that's what I've got. That's where I am. It will be a while before I put out another video, simply because I'm waiting for parts and making all of these, the rest of those, printing all of those, that's going to take quite a bit of time. And making the rest of these, again, I have to order the material for that, and it's going to take time to get that and make those. When I get more ready to show on this, which will probably be in another month or so, it'll be a while, I'll come back and give you an update. But until then, so far, I think it's coming out pretty good. I think it'll work fine, I hope. So anyways, until next time, as always, thanks for watching.